With the 2024 NBA season almost officially over, with the Celtics having a 2-0 series lead against the Mavericks in the finals, free agency rumors have been off to a hot start so far, as we are just a few weeks away before some players start signing with some potentially new teams. And the Thunder are linked to a decently sized name in this year's free agency class that, you're going to notice that it's a decently sized name. He's not necessarily a huge name atop the list. However, he will bring a ton of value to whatever team he signs for, whether he sticks in the Big Apple or if he goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. What up? It's Bryson Akins with another Thunder Digest video for you guys today. Before we get all this done, I want to take a moment and say, if you find yourself coming back on a regular basis and you enjoy the content on the channel, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. It's totally free to do, and it's the best way to support the channel and to stay up to date when a new video drops here on Thunder Digest. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into talking about this guy and the reports showing that Isaiah Hartenstein could potentially be on the move this offseason and join his 6th NBA team in his short career so far, as he had a breakout year with the New York Knicks, being a starter on this team since Mitchell Robinson was injured majority of the time. He has been known to be injury prone. However, Isaiah Hartenstein stepped up, and he could potentially be what we are missing on this Thunder team. The more I look at it, the more I do my research, signing Isaiah Hartenstein, he wouldn't necessarily be a starter on this team. There would be a few times he steps into the starting role depending on what team we play or if we have an injury somewhere. He could definitely step into that starting role. However, he brings this sort of beefiness and, extra chip on our shoulder with our second string unit that would really make us difficult to compete with, because it truly makes us 10 men deep with how well we excel at offense for our bench unit, and it adds on our defensive help, as Cason Wallace is becoming a top-tier perimeter defender already early in his career. It allows interior defense down there, because so far Jay Will was our center coming off the bench, and to be honest, the 6'9" center doesn't get it done. Now, you guys might be wondering, okay, where are the reports showing that he could potentially be going there? Well, it's been a bunch of New York Posts going around right now, and it's the New York Post, their sports section, that are talking about it right now, as we're going to go ahead and get into it right here. This is the article here. The competition for Isaiah Hartenstein could very well include a team with a dangerous trio, cap space, legitimate title aspirations, and need for a center. The Thunder is viewed by NBA sources as the top threat to pry Hartenstein away from the Knicks in free agency. After finishing atop the Western Conference with 57 wins in the regular season, Oklahoma City can make a stronger bid for Hartenstein than the Knicks, who are capped out but can offer a starting salary of roughly $17 million using their early bird rights. Thunder have roughly $35 million in cap space and a glut of draft assets to build on its surprising success last season. The roster could also use a hard-nosed center like Hartenstein, who broke out with a career season after replacing the injured Mitchell Robinson in Tom Thibodeau's starting lineup. Now to go to the next part of the article here, it's real, an NBA source said of OKC's interest in Hartenstein. For any team pursuing Hartenstein in unrestricted free agency this summer, the big question is worth. The last season was his first as a starter after getting picked in the second round of the 2017 draft. A journeyman for the first part of his career, the 26-year-old, so we've already talked about that. Depending on where you rank him, with Brooklyn's Nick Claxton, New Orleans' Jonas Valanciunas, the value of centers in the NBA is diminished, and last season, ESPN front office insider Bobby Marks projected Hartenstein's next deal to start at roughly $13 to $14 million. That would certainly fit into New York's early bird rights, but there's also a supply and demand factor that could launch Hartenstein's salary. The 2024 free agency class is weak in several teams. The Spurs, Magic, Thunder, Jazz, Hornets, Pistons, and Sixers, those are a lot of teams there, are loaded with spending cash. And so as you can see there's a legit chance. There is a very good chance that our Hartenstein will be on the move to the Thunder. When you think about it, we have the availability to do that for him. When you look at what we have available here, cap space wise, this is our roster so far. And you're going to notice we're pretty well set with our roster besides one thing, and that's big man depth. As you can see, there are only really true big men are Chet Holmgren and then Jay Will, even though Jay Will is 6'9". I believe he's our second tallest player on the team at 6'9". We can't handle that, especially coming off the bench. However, we have a lot of good options when you look at it. When you look at our bench right here, you have coming off the bench for us is Cason Wallace, Jay Will, Joe, and Aaron Wiggins. Those are four solid players that could start on a few teams in the NBA already as it is. Aaron Wiggins had a great year. Isaiah Joe had a great year. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Cason Wallace, like I mentioned, one of the top perimeter defenders. Jay Will, he has great basketball IQ and great court awareness. He knows where to be at the right spots in the right time. It's just what we're missing is that extra rebounding and interior defense on our bench that can also come into the starting lineup and play with some of the starters if he needs to. If he needs to go into that, fill in for Giddey or Dort or Dub, and whenever they're getting tired, whenever we need to sub them out or just off that night, he can step in and fill into that role for us and help us out defensively and rebounding-wise. In the cap space, we just have a few team options we can offer. The only guy I can see as potentially not offering, however, I think is going to happen would be Lindy Waters III, just because he's an Oklahoma guy. He's been with the team for so long now. He's a team favorite just because he comes from the state of Oklahoma. He's a local guy, so I feel like they would try to keep him on, just put him on a budget-friendly deal. And so those are like the only guy I could see it not being on the roster. We're already 12 men deep, 12, 13 men deep as it is in our roster. We can add on 2 more guys there. And I feel like what we can do, sign Isaiah Hartenstein. If you know you're for sure getting him, if you know you're going to sign him, it allows a lot of options in the draft if you want to. Because realistically, we might let Josh Giddey walk after the season if we don't end up trading him. Unless he's willing to take a pretty decent pay cut, because we're going to need to re-sign Chet and Dub as well. We're going to need to re-sign them or extend their contracts, and if we extend or re-sign Giddey, we might not have the space to re-sign both of them. It's just one of those things where you're going to have to pick and choose who you're going to keep on this team. And it might be one of those situations Giddey walks. And then in the draft, if that's the case, you can go draft a guy like Cody Williams, Jared McCain, some of those guys. Be like, okay, once he's gone after that season, you guys will step into his role and fill in what we're missing there. I feel like because we signed Hartenstein, that allows us to do that and really open up a lot of avenues and doors to how we can expand on our future and keep on competing with some of the top tier teams in the league and be a contender for years to come. And then Isaiah Hartenstein, he brings a lot of value to this team. Just being honest, when you look at what he brings, you look at the stats. Here are his stats real quick. 8 points a game and 8 rebounds. An 8-and-8 guy. That's solid. That is solid for us off the bench. 2 assists a game, a block and a steal a game. That's also solid. Less than 2 turnovers. He does have a tendency to get in foul trouble a little bit every now and then with 3 fouls a game. But he's 64% from the field and 33% from behind the 3-point line. 7 foot tall, just turned 26 not too long ago, so he's still a young guy. And here's some stats that kind of stood out to me. 65% of his twos are assisted, so we could definitely be running a ton of pick and roll options with him. He's a big body. It's going to be hard to get around that guy. If you get the mismatch on him with a guard, let's say you're running pick and roll of the second unit between Wallace and Hartenstein, he's going to get on a smaller guard. He'd be able to go to work down low with an oop or just, bounce pass to him, go to work. And then also with the starting unit with Shai or, Dub, those guys, he can still go to work and dominate there. Defensive box plus minus 2.8 and VORP of 2.6. So he's a solid player defensively, and offensively he has his uses. We can run a ton of pick and rolls with him. We truly can. He has that big of a body, and I feel like that's where he would excel offensively with our unit. I feel like that's kind of what we're missing. We don't really have a strong pick and roll game outside of Chet Holmgren. Even then, a lot of the time we end up doing a pick and pop because of how many shooters we have on this team. You see it with J Will a ton as well. They'll do pick and pops with him. He'll pop out to the top of the key and shoot a 3-ball. We see that with a bunch of our players. Even Lou Dort, when he sets screens, he does a pop. Josh Giddey, he does a pop. Dub, he does a pop. He rolls a few times. It's like 50-50 with him along with Chet. I feel like we're missing a true pick and roll threat coming off the bench as well. We don't really have a ton of that. The pick and pop we have down. It's just, I keep on repeating that because that's how imperative and important it is to this team. We need a true pick and roll style of player on this team, and Hartenstein brings that along with his rebounding skills and his defensive mind on the interior, his defensive presence there, because it's a big body. He's going to contest shots, and he's going to box out and get boards for us, which is what we were truly missing in the playoffs against the Mavs and a bunch of other contenders when we lost those games against like the Nuggets and Celtics and Mavericks in the regular season as well. We're missing out help defensively and rebounding wise inside the paint, and he fills that need for us. He does. And like I said, just kind of recapping this, it opens up doors and avenues for us for the future when we want to go and try to fill in. Okay, there's potential that one of our guys is going to have to go in the next few years. Let's draft someone, have him work for a year, and then boom, he can step into that role. It's just the more I think about it, do my research on it, I feel like Hartenstein, signing him, adds a lot of options here. And the contract, realistically, it'll be a 2-year deal, and it's going to be worth at least $20 million per year, being honest here. That's what he's going to get. It's just that 2-year deal, we can live with that, because as soon as that contract expires, Chet and Dub can be extended, and re-signed to large contracts there. Boom, give them the max. You have Shai, Dub, and Chet locked down for years, along with Dort, who's locked down to 2028, I believe. It allows a lot of options for us, and I guarantee you, with how the NBA is going with all these max contracts, with your all-NBA selections now, the salary cap is going to be increased, which allows us to work with more in the future. But like I mentioned, I think Hartenstein gives us the best option in free agency, and allows a lot of avenues to open up. Let me know what you guys think about signing Hartenstein, or would you rather us truly try to trade for Lauri Markkanen or sign Nick Claxton over him and have them fill into a starting role? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.